This is Brother Peter Diamond, VaticanCatholic.com, continuing with part 4 of the discussion of John Salz's errors on Sedevacantism. In the last part, we talked about some of his misapplications of canon law and how he wrongly applies canons that deal with the procedures and processes for trials to this issue, and they are irrelevant because the principle at work is loss of office without any declaration or trial. Now I want to look at his claim that the heresies of the Vatican II anti-popes are not public. In his article he says, quote, "The alleged heresies of Cardinal Roncalli must be considered not notorious and not entirely certain because they do not meet the definition of public and notorious under Canon 2197 of the 1917 Code. The alleged heresies cannot be considered public under Canon 2197 paragraph 1 because they were not already commonly known, evidenced by the fact that Pope Pius XII neither investigated nor rendered any judgment against Roncalli for heresy, and almost the entire Catholic population accepted Roncalli as Pope. Further, under the same canon, the circumstances were not such as to lead to the conclusion that the alleged heresies would easily become commonly known, evidenced by the fact that over the last 50 years the College of Cardinals, the 4 successor popes in almost the entire Catholic world, held Roncalli as a true pope." End quote. Now there are a number of errors to refute in this paragraph. First, notice how he's still applying his completely false understanding of Canons 1557 and 1558. We previously discussed how those canons deal with the fact that a pope alone can preside over the trial of a cardinal. They do not teach that you could never recognize that a cardinal is a heretic unless a pope declares it. And so, applying his completely false understanding of that canon, he says you could never say that Roncalli, John the 23rd, was a heretic because Pope Pius XII never declared it. This is totally ridiculous. As I said in my article, it's similar to evolution, which starts with a fraudulent fossil and constructs an entire body out of it, and it ends up with a monster. He starts with a false premise and just builds upon it and repeats it over and over again. So his attempted application of those canons is wrong, again, as we already showed. But let's look at Canon 2197.1 and what it says about public. It says, "A crime is public if it is already commonly known or the circumstances are such as to lead to the conclusion that it can and will easily become so." End quote. So the question is, are the crimes of the Vatican II anti-popes public? Of course they are. Is it commonly known that John Paul II and Benedict XVI agreed with Lutherans on justification? Yes, it is. Is it commonly known that they engaged in false ecumenism, condemned interfaith worship, attendance at synagogues, mosques, etc.? Yes, it is. Are there speeches in which they teach that leading heretics and schismatics are in the church commonly known and public? Yes, they are. To say that they are not public is an assault on common sense. It's an assault on Catholic sense. But what about his claim that the crimes can't be public because almost the entire Catholic world does not consider them to have taught heresy? The answer is that it's irrelevant. Buscarin and Ellis, in their commentary on the Code, explain it well when they say about this canon, "A crime may be public though known to only a few who are sure to divulge it." End quote. So if most of the population is mired in heresy and bad will, it makes no difference. If the statements and acts are divulged to large numbers in a public capacity, they are public crimes, even if there are only a few people of goodwill and who have Catholic faith to recognize it. So he's completely wrong. Their crimes do satisfy the requirements for public heresy. In fact, many of them come from their heretical public catechism, their heretical official celebrated council, Vatican II, etc. The fact is that all of their heresies are public. And it's so absurd because the opposite of public is occult. So when Benedict XVI sends out a letter, as he did recently, saying that the Jewish feasts of Yom Kippur, etc., bring down blessings, this is a public letter circulated all over the world. That's actually an occult message or a private letter, according to Salza. No, it isn't. It's a public act of apostasy. And actually, if you see that video we just posted, it is such a specific denial of the Council of Florence, because the Council of Florence says to observe these Jewish feasts in the Old Law brings spiritual death and excludes one from eternal salvation, while Benedict XVI sends out a public letter to the chief rabbi, declaring that their celebration of these feasts brings blessings. So he is directly denying the teaching of the Council of Florence. He does this kind of stuff all the time. It's just public heresy after public heresy after public heresy. But there's another very interesting error into which Salza falls when he's promoting his false understanding of public. Remember that he said that the heresies are not public because, quote, the circumstances were not such as to lead to the conclusion that the alleged heresies would easily become commonly known, evidenced by the fact that over the last 50 years, the College of Cardinals, the 4 successor popes, and almost the entire Catholic world held Roncalli as a true pope, end quote. Hence, he argues that since the College of Cardinals, etc., accepted these guys as popes, the crimes couldn't be public. Once again, we have caught Salza arguing directly against the teaching of Pope Paul IV. Do you remember this? Pope Paul IV, cum ex apostolatus officio, quote, the promotion or elevation, speaking of a heretic, elected pope, even if it shall have been uncontested by the unanimous consent of all the cardinals, shall be null, void, and worthless. And he also says, nor through the putative enthronement of a Roman pontiff, or obedience accorded to such by all, the laity shall be permitted at any time to withdraw and reject the individual. So directly contradicting John Salza, Pope Paul IV declares that even if all the cardinals, and in fact the entire church, give this man obedience, his election and acceptance of the office would not be valid, and that the laity shall be permitted to reject him. Was Pope Paul IV contemplating a sin of heresy that could qualify as public? Obviously he was. Therefore, it's certain that a heresy can be public, even though the cardinals and almost the entire church fail to recognize it. Salza is completely wrong and directly refuted by Pope Paul IV's bull once again. Now I want to move on to Salza's massive contradiction and his outrageous deception and error on Canon 2264. Of all of his mistakes and misapplications of canon law, this might be the most pernicious and the most revealing. In his article he says, quote, the presumption of valid papal elections is also reflected in the 1917 Code. Canon 2264 provides that even if a cardinal excommunicated himself for heresy prior to his election to the papacy, his jurisdiction as pope is valid and also licit if recognized by the faithful. And to support this, he cites Canon 2264, which says that an act of jurisdiction carried out by an excommunicated person, whether in the internal or external form, is illicit, and if a condemnatory or declaratory sentence has been pronounced, it is also invalid, without prejudice to Canon 2261, paragraph 3, and it goes on to make reference to 2261, paragraph 2. End quote. So let me explain. He's saying here that according to Canon 2264, even if a cardinal was excommunicated for heresy, and therefore a heretic, prior to his election, he would still be the pope, and his jurisdiction as pope would be valid, because this canon says so, according to Salza. Now, before I refute his misunderstanding of this canon, we have caught Salza in a massive contradiction. Remember at the beginning of the article, he admitted that sedevacantists are correct when they say that a cleric who has excommunicated himself for heresy would lose his office without declaration. That was principle number 1, remember? Heretics do lose their offices without declaration. His only disagreement was number 2, how we can recognize that. But now he's contradicting himself because he's saying that even if he was a heretic, according to this canon, he still would be the pope and would have jurisdiction as pope, and therefore would have his office. Let me quote what he said at the beginning. Quote, sedevacantists correctly maintain that divine law expels a formal heretic from the church without further declaration. They point to Canon 188, paragraph 4 of the 1917 Code, which says that all offices whatsoever fall vacant and without any declaration if the cleric publicly defects from the Catholic faith. So he admitted that already. Now he's directly contradicting himself. This is really revealing. Because this is not a side issue, this is a central issue. It demonstrates that he does not understand what he's talking about, that he will just throw anything out there, hoping it will stick, and that his understanding of this canon is completely wrong, and if it were true, it would directly not only contradict his article, but what the code teaches in Canon 188.4. And it's beyond dispute that he's contradicting himself, because the Pope's jurisdiction over the universal church is attached to his office. Ordinary jurisdiction is attached to an office. It goes with it. If you lose the office, you lose the jurisdiction. If you have the office, you have the jurisdiction. And so he says at the beginning of his article they lose their offices if they are in fact heretics. That means they lose their jurisdiction as Pope. Now he says, quote, Canon 2264 also indicates that even a pope who as a cardinal excommunicated himself for heresy still has valid jurisdiction over the church. It's a direct contradiction.